I'd like to call the Hammond Redevelopment Commission meeting to order on this Tuesday, October 7th, 2014. It is now 4:33. The meeting will begin. Can you please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and a moment of silence? Thank you. Could I have a roll call on commissioners, please?
Here. Here.
Here.
Here. 4 present. Number 3, declaration of conflict of interest. Okay, number 4, communications. Okay.
Mr. President, with your permission, item number 9 is the acceptance of bids for asbestos abatement and demolition of 7244 through 7250 Columbia Avenue. And there's quite a few here. I would like, while you go through number 5 and 6 and 7, I would like to begin opening those, and we can then, when we get down to it, I'll be able to announce what we've received. So with your permission, I'll go ahead and begin the opening of the bids, and then we'll announce them in a couple of minutes.
Okay, I don't have a problem with that. I'm sure in front of all of us. Okay, then we're going to move to number 5. Attorney Westland's opening those. Our homebound conditionable forgivable loan approval.
Commissioners, this is for 8 homebound conditional forgivable loan approvals, and they are all present today. Everybody for homebound, want to come up here?
I guess I'll ask a question then. No, let's see, let me pick someone. Ms. Phillips, how did you hear about the program?
Through my realtor.
Who's your realtor? Nobody ever knows who their realtor are. What is this?
I know his first name is Landon. Landon Chase.
Landon Chase.
Yes.
Okay. What about, let's see, Martha Miles? How did you hear about our program? You're a realtor too, and you'll know his name, right?
I can't hear too well.
How did you hear about the program?
Through my real estate.
Who was your realtor?
Tammy Young.
Tammy. There.
Okay. Let's see, let's get one more. What about, something really bad in last names, Mr. Ricardo? Gaines, is how you pronounce it?
Magallanes.
Oh, okay. See, she knew. How did you hear about our program?
Real estate to Stella Lopez.
Oh, I know Estella. Okay. The reason I was asked this question, I'm a realtor as well, so I like to know who's doing what.
You want a bit
I know this man. Half you guys are in Hessville. What's going on in Hessville? Is that the area to go to these days, or what? Who's moving to Hessville? Why did you choose Hessville?
I'm getting a home built through Habitat for Humanity. So that was the available location, and I was excited.
Okay.
I have no other questions. Anybody else have any questions?
Just like how we have 4 applicants that currently reside outside our city, so we always appreciate that and welcome that to you.
You want to do it?
Mr. President, I make a motion for the homebound conditional forgivable loan approval for the 8 applicants.
I second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any more discussion? Can we have a roll call then, please?
Yes.
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 Yes. Motion passes 4 yes.
Congratulations to you all.
Thank you.
Okay, number 6, our subordination request approval for Reuben Cannon at
Commissioners.
7619 Beach.
Sorry. This is for a subordination request for Reuben Cannon at 7619 Beach. He and his wife are both here as well. You guys want to come up? Their subordination request is strictly a refinance. They're basically putting their loan from a 30-year mortgage to a 15-year mortgage.
Good for you. You cut it down almost in half. Yay.
We've had a rehab done 5 years ago, and I love the house, and never missed a payment. I mean, it's always there.
Aw. I'd like to make a motion for the approval of the subordination agreement request for the borrower, Mr. Reuben Cannon.
Second?
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion then? If not, then let's have a roll call, please.
Yes.
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 Yes. Motion passes, 4 yes.
Congratulations.
Good for you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The motion, she did the second.
Number 7, determination of compliance with the North Hammond Redevelopment Plan for Sheffield Estates, 3600 Sheffield Avenue property improvements.
Commissioners, we can ask the city planner, Brian Poland, to come forward, or we also have the petitioners. Very good.
Petitioners, good afternoon. My name is Kevin Shaughnessy, and this is Doris Nathanson. We're from Sheffield Estates. I'm one of the owners, and Doris is one of the day-to-day property managers there. What we are proposing here, and I think you should have received a packet, is some aesthetic improvements along Sheffield Avenue. Real briefly, by way of background, we took over the park in 2011, and we've been trying to make some improvements along the way the last 3 years. The first priority was to make sure it was a safe and secure community. Second priority was kind of remove some of the old homes in there and bring in some newer homes. And this is kind of the third priority in those steps, which is make aesthetic improvements along Sheffield Avenue. So this is a continual process that go years, but this is the first phase, I'll say, that we are approaching here to tear out some of the concrete jungle that's along there and put in trees, greenery, conifers, fir trees, some two-rail fencing, some signage. We're going to bring in and put in a little gazebo. We're going to put a model home in there, which will act as administrative offices for the sales agents. Hammond Waterworks has asked us to relocate one of the underground water meter pits, so we're going to bring that up and around and just do a whole bunch of aesthetic improvements, as you can see, along Sheffield Avenue on both sides of the street. So in working with Brian, we've talked to him and met multiple times. We met with the Pulaski Park Neighborhood Association to kind of, make sure we're doing things with everybody's approval, and which brings us here in front of you guys. So we request approval for these improvements. Questions?
If you don't have any questions for the petitioner, we can have the city planner, Brian Poland, come forward as well.
Good evening. Okay. Obviously, the question before the Redevelopment Commission is whether or not the project is in compliance with the North Hammond Redevelopment Plan. This particular area of the North Hammond redevelopment area was added into that area in 2008, and it's basically called the Sheffield Expansion Area. And this expansion area really encompasses primarily the mobile home park that's on both sides of Sheffield and some additional property that wraps around Pulaski Park. So in looking at this, as was described by Mr. Shaughnessy, is that there's a lot of improvements that's going to the front parking lot on the west side of Sheffield and a little bit on the east side. Generally speaking, there's really no issue with those improvements. The plan talks about, just making general improvements into the area, as well as really putting an emphasis on improving how Sheffield Avenue looks. You may be aware that the city is working on reconstructing Sheffield Avenue, starting at the intersection of 137th Street going northward. They are going to be they're going to reduce the lanes and add in bike trail lanes. So this kind of works with that would help improve the appearance of the area. And looking at the entire project, some of the zoning things that starts to kick into it, as was stated, these owners have been there for 3 years, but the mobile home park dates I don't even know exactly when it dates from, but it's probably from the 50s and the 60s. And with that being so old, it's not really in compliance with most of the zoning provisions that we have established. It is a question of the size of the lots for the mobile homes, open space requirements, landscape requirements, just the whole layout of it. So one of the things that we liked about this project is I think it's an opportunity to start to bring that trailer park into compliance with the zoning provisions. And one of the things that I've discussed with them is that I want to work towards what I'm referring to as a transition plan, some type of idea of how do we go about bringing the trailer park into compliance. It may not be possible in all instances because of where the electric utility or any of the utilities are located. That may be some type of limiting factor, but it's important, I think, for a city goal to bring everybody into compliance with zoning to the extent that's possible. There's also some platting questions. Their property ownership technically did go into Sheffield Avenue and part of 137th Street, so we asked that to be straightened out so we have a properly dedicated street. So basically in summary, the project is in compliance with the overall goals of the redevelopment area. Excuse me. And we do recommend that the Redevelopment Commission make a determination that the proposed Sheffield Estates project is in compliance with the redevelopment plan for North Hammond, subject to 1, the development of the transition plan regarding compliance with zoning provisions with a target completion date of December 31st, 2014, resolution of the property encroachments into Sheffield Avenue and 137th Street, and should the property owner pursue a second sign, that would be subject to approval by the Board of Zoning Appeals.
I just wanted to comment too, Brian. I agree. I think it's a positive thing, along Sheffield there, going into our Wolf Lake Park. So you doing any kind of improvement like that's a positive thing for our city.
Mm-hmm.
I have a question. How does something like that affect the residents that are currently living there?
Say that again.
How does a project of this type affect the residents that are currently living there? Is there how does this affect them?
I mean, the parking lot improvements?
Yeah, all these improvements.
Well, the specific improvements would be a benefit. Oh, actually, I should let you guys answer that question, but, obviously it's going to provide them with, you said a gazebo, some recreational space. It's going to provide, a better designed parking lot. It's going to improve the quality of the parking lot, the landscaping, and then they have this model home, which I guess is better than what you currently have.
Correct.
The model home being the office.
Right. And I think a pride in community too. I mean, we're constantly focused on making it a safe, secure, and, as much as can be, beautiful community. So this is at least one step toward that. Hopefully when they drive home, it's not the concrete jungle with the ugly old office sitting in front with the old red sign that lights up at night. We're gonna get rid of all that.
Oh,
Does that answer your question, hopefully?
Well, does it affect them in any financial way? I mean,
No, I mean, this is all paid for by the company, and rent is set, at least for the next 12 months, so.
okay, 'cause
They-
yeah, the estates did need a revamping.
it-
I've lived here all my life, and I don't even remember a day when it wasn't there. But I know a long time ago, when I was a little girl, it was very nice, but it was kind of new then. So no, I'm just asking for the benefit of the residents that live there. I want to make, okay.
Mr. President,
Commissioner Myrick.
I'd like to make a motion that, per the staff recommendation, that the redevelopment commission make a determination that the proposed Sheffield Estates are in compliance with the redevelopment plan for North Hammond, subject to, number one, the development of transition plan, regarding the compliance with zoning provisions with a target date of 12/31/2014, a resolution of the property encroachments into Sheffield Avenue and 137th Street, and should the property owner pursue a second signing, is subject to approval by the Board of Zoning Appeals.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Myrick, a second by Commissioner Navejas. Is there any more discussion on the project? And can we have a roll call, please?
Yes.
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 Yes. Excuse me, so Presley,
Hmm.
did you vote?
I said yes.
Okay, I didn't.
Yes.
Right.
There-
We have a motion passes and 4 yes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Number 8, awarding of bid for the sound wall removal at Oxbow Landing to Laporte Construction.
Commissioners, as you may recall, at one point, we put out an RFQ to see which contractors would put a bid in for the removal of the sound wall at Oxbow Landing. At the time, we received one bid. It was from Laporte Construction. The bid amount was $233,800. The project managers on this, for this project, are United Consulting, and they said it was a responsive bid, and they would recommend awarding the Oxbow Landing sound wall removal project to Laporte Construction Company, Inc. Also, I'll just mention that the permit for the Oxbow wall removal has already been acquired as well. So if you award this bid today, we could potentially see the wall start coming down within the next 2 weeks, which is positive.
I drive by there all the time, I'm like, when is this thing coming down?
Yeah.
You know, you can see the BW3s going up, and it's like, when is this thing coming down?
Yeah, I probably mentioned it at a previous meeting, but Buffalo Wild Wings is also interested. They want the visibility from the highway. They want the people to see that the construction has already begun. And the attorney has just mentioned that this is an obligation that we promise to the groups that are moving into that area. So this is a positive thing for Oxbow Landing and the city of Hammond.
It will be a nice visual point, from the highway.
I should also mention this is paid for out of the Gateways TIF, which is where this project is located.
Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion awarding of the bid for sound wall removal at Oxbow Landing to Laporte Construction.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion then? Okay, can we have a roll call then, please?
Yes.
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 Yes, Motion passes 4 yes.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Okay, number 9, acceptance of bids for asbestos abatement and demolition of 7244-7250 Columbia Avenue.
Mr. President, had the opportunity to open these a minute ago, and Mr. Pulaski and America will check to make sure that I'm reading these off correctly. They were bid, the contractor had the opportunity to bid the environmental as one portion, the demolition and site restoration is another portion, or bid it combined and some of them I've noticed have bid one and not the other, so I'll kind of read them off and let you know who's bid what. The first one that was open was from Acton Contracting LLC out of East Chicago. They bid both aspects, the environmental abatement, $18,360, the demolition and site restoration, $41,600. The total combined bid would be $60,230.
That's for Acton.
That's for Acton. The next one I opened was for JM Industrial Services, Inc. They're located here in Hammond, right? That's what I thought. They bid the demolition and site restoration, the second portion, not the environmental abatement, and their bid was $40,800 for that second demolition and site restoration. The next one was that I opened with RSR Demolition LLC out of Dyer. They also just bid the demolition and site restoration, $22,499. The next one was from Midwest Construction Services LLC. They're located in St. John. They bid the environmental portion, the first portion, at $18,500. And then the last one, Kinsale Contracting Group out of Westmont, Illinois. They bid the environmental abatement, the first portion, at $24,705.
Could you repeat that, please?
The number of the whole thing?
The amount, the number.
$24,705. And that was on the environmental abatement, the first portion. And those are all the bids you received?
They're from Westmount, too.
Westmont, Illinois.
So Commissioners, typically after we open the bids, this is an opportunity to refer to staff with a possible expectation that we could award a bid at the next meeting if we're able to do so.
I would like to so move that suggestion.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to refer this to staff. Is there any more discussions for Attorney Wesley? Can we have a roll call then, please?
Yes.
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 Yes, motion passes 4 yes. Moving along, number 10, approval of TIF pledge resolution for Marina Development LLC project.
Mr. President, on this, you have Resolution Resolution 5-2014 in front of you. This is a resolution for the TIF pledge for the Marina District project. You'll remember that's a $3.5 million bond issue that we we've committed to through a development agreement and a declaratory resolution back several months ago. That project, I'm happy to report, has come to fruition, and this will be your last act to sort of finalize this, sort of the last administrative act that needs to take place.
Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion for approval of TIF pledge resolution for Marina Development LLC project, resolution number 5-2014.
I second that.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Nevaeh, a second by Commissioner Soto Presley. Is there any final questions here on this? Okay, then, can we have a roll call then, please?
Yes.
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 Yes, motion passes 4 yes. Thank you. Okay, number 11, approval of development agreement with ATG Real Estate Development LLC.
Mr. President, you have in your packet, and then what was handed out today, an option agreement, a purchase agreement, and a development agreement. As you'll recall, the property on the north side of Carlson Drive in Oxbow Park consists of about 10.8 acres. Through Mr. Talon's direction and office, we've been meeting with various interested developers regarding potential projects for that site. ATG Real Estate Development, well, it says LCC, I think it's LLC, is an entity that is pretty well versed in commercial office buildings, professional office space. And if you look through the purchase agreement and development agreement, what they're proposing is somewhere in the neighborhood of a 35,000 square foot professional office building with a total investment of about $4.5 million. What we're asking tonight is your approval of the option agreement. And what the option agreement does is it allows the developer, it gives the developer an option on the property that is the furthest to the northeast, 2.5 to 3.5 acres. And what it allows the developer to do is go out and secure potential professional office building tenants. The option runs until January 15th, at which time the developer will have to make a decision on whether they're going to sign and execute a development agreement and purchase agreement, which would lock them in to the site. What we found in talking to a bunch of different developers of the commercial professional office building nature is that nobody builds these on speculation in the commercial setting because they got to know that they're going to have tenants. And you're talking about a pretty significant investment, $4.5 million. And I think the vision for the site is, there's about 10.8 acres on the north side of Carlson. And the vision would be 1 or 2 professional office buildings of a 2 to 4 story variety, anywhere between 20,000 and 40,000 square feet. So this certainly fits within that vision, and Mr. Talon and his staff has negotiated the option agreement along with the development agreement and purchase agreement, but the option agreement is really the critical document tonight so that the developer can get started and we can start the clock ticking towards the January 15th date, so we'll know whether or not he's going to be able to do this. So with that, we'd ask that you approve the option agreement with ATG Development.
Mr. President,
Mr. Myrick.
I make a motion for the approval of the option agreement with ATG Real Estate Development LLC.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Myrick, a second by Commissioner Nevejas. Is there any other questions for Attorney Westland? If not, then let's have a roll call then, please.
Yes.
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 Yes, motion passes, 4 yes. Okay, number 12, our reports, Mr. Phil Talon.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you for passing that option agreement. This is just another step at Oxbow Landing. We've been negotiating many deals with different groups, and it seems like a lot of them are kind of coming to fruition now in certain steps. Obviously, Buffalo Wild Wings is still planning to be open prior to the end of this year, pending weather conditions. The Hampton Inn now has a trailer on site, so they are also mobilizing and hopefully preparing to have some sort of groundbreaking in the very near future. And now we have the first of hopefully a number of agreements that will bring forward with the remainder of the property at Oxbow Landing. As Dave mentioned, you know, there could be another group potentially also that will want a similar agreement, and that's good. The more groups we have working, trying to get tenants for their buildings, the better possibility that one of them is going to move forward. So that's a positive. Also, the other TIF pledge resolution that you approved, you know, the marina bond closed about a week and a half ago, and this is very positive because this is, according to the agreement, potentially somewhere between $20 and $25 million worth of development when it's all said and done, which will be over a number of years. I took a ride-along with the developer this past Thursday, and we went through a lot of the property, including some of the problem areas, because there's some maintenance issues. He's aware of that now, and now that we've moved forward, I think that Robertsdale is going to see some improvements in the very near future. So it's very positive. The majority of that project, really the traffic relocation, probably will not begin until spring of 2015. But you will see some utility and cleanup work, I think, before the end of this year, at least according to the developer, and that's positive. Besides that, we have, you know, a lot of the other projects that we've discussed that continue to move forward. I think by next meeting, we'll be talking about another one that I hope people will be excited about. So a lot of good things are happening, and obviously the Redevelopment Commission and the commissioners have a lot to do with that. So that's my report.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Talon. Okay, then we're going to move on to number 13, our bills.
Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion to pay the register of claims for September 10th through October 1st, 2014. Register of claims number R50990 through R51079.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second on the bills. Is there any questions or discussion or correction on the bills?
I would like to repeat those numbers again. Register of claims for September 10th through October 1st. Claims number R50990 through R51079.
Second.
Okay, thank you. I think that was clear on that. If there's no more discussion on the bills, then can we have a roll call, please?
Yes.
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 Yes, bills pass, 4 yes. Number 14, new and unfinished business. I have one thing to comment on. I spoke to a guy today, he called me, he was referred to me, he's interested in doing a Jimmy John's in Whiting, or Hammond, Whiting, Robertsdale area, which would really be Hammond. And I'm gonna refer him to Phil in Africa and the staff, you know, to give this gentleman a call and set up a meeting and see what we possibly can do for him for a potential site. So it's still kind of early, but nevertheless, it's a pretty good lead. He does own a Jimmy John's currently in Michigan City, so he's just very interested in doing something in our city. So I will give his name and number to our staff. That's all I have.
We will follow up, Mr. President. We appreciate the referral.
Okay, number 15, public comment. You have 3 minutes if anybody would like to come up and speak. Okay, before we adjourn though, I do see Councilman Anthony Higgs from the 3rd District is in attendance. I'd just like to welcome him. Okay, number 16.
Matt, I almost called you Matt. Mr. President, I make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Can you just signify by saying aye?
Aye.
Ayes have it, meeting adjourned.